looking to get back into competitive Pokemon, so I thought now would be kind of a good time to actually do some recordings, do some videos, especially because while I'm actually talking things out, I can actually hear my thought process, and I actually just don't autopilot kind of immediately, so it does help me play a little bit better at least. So I played a couple games offline, just up against, well, not offline, but like off screen, up against just kind of random people, and I am going to be looking for another random person, but it's just, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. It really wasn't good. There was no choices, and if it ever comes to a point where you yourself are up against an opponent where they're refusing to swap, it's a bad matchup. They're just constantly refusing to swap, and they're just clicking moves, praying that one of them works, and none of them is working, and you know none of them would work. You are in the most fantastic position of your life. It's just a great feeling. I've seen it in Pokemon way too much. But I feel great getting back into competitive Pokemon. I think this is the first time in a very long time that I've actually taken competitive Pokemon pretty seriously. I'd love to be playing by Smogon rules, which my team is 100% legal for Smogon OU. But unfortunately, me finding somebody who's kind of random online that is actually playing by that rule set. So the rule set would be like Sleep Claws, no same species claws, no Dynamax, no Gigantamax, section of Pokemon that aren't permitted, like Cinderace and whatnot. This guy's team is 100% OU. Actually, I do see a lot of UU picks, to be completely honest. But this should be a pretty interesting one. So Manny's running the Metagross, the Tyranitar, Grimmsnarl, Porygon 2, Swampert, as well as Rotom. He has a lot of he has 3 potential counter picks to my Landorus lead, which is very, very annoying. If he does lead off with something like lead Swampert, I could also lead off with Coco and then just obliterate that thing 100%. If not, I could just Volt Switch out of there. So the team that I'm running, by the way, is Coco, Blissey, Dragapult, Celesteela, Landorus, and Urshifu, which is the water one. The dark one would have been banned over to Smogon Ubers. So, like I said, my team is 100% legal for Smogon OU, but the odds of me actually finding somebody that actually plays that rule set is actually pretty slim. So we'll see what ends up happening. He has a lot of physical attackers on his team, though. Aside from the Rotom, my voice is going, by the way. Aside from the Rotom and the Porygon, the Intimidate off of Landorus is going to come in pretty nicely. So he does lead off with the Swampert, which is kind of what I predicted, so I can kind of just Grass Knot here pretty freely. He could pretty much try to set up Stealth Rock here in prediction that I'd swap out, because obviously this is a very bad matchup, right? I can't Electric type attack. The Swampert, despite it being part water, it's also part ground, which actually would just completely have no effect. It actually literally says no effect on it. And I'm pretty sure I don't even need to Dynamax. I'm 100% certain the Grass Knot actually just wipes this thing out. So yeah, that's gone. That's absolutely gone. So I called that lead immediately. There was just too much against a lead Landorus, which is like typically I would lead the Landorus. You have such great momentum with that Pokemon, right? It comes in, it's relatively decent speed, even if you don't incorporate a lot of speed EVs into it, or even have like a speed positive nature, it is still reaches like a decent speed tier, as well as it comes with the Intimidate, which is a -1 attack on them, which is -50%. And then on top of that, you just have this pressure where like you could go on the offensive with your high damage output, or you could go for like a Stealth Rock, right? Like there's just a lot of momentum you get out of that. But because you had the Porygon 2, which I would do like 0 damage to, realistically, the Swampert, the Rotom, just a lot going against me would have been very, very, it just would have been very annoying to deal with at the end of the day. Celesteela can come in here for free, pretty much. I'm pretty sure, I think Metagross has that ability. I don't even want to search it right now, but I think it has that ability that would prevent its stats from lowering. It's going to go for the Meteor Mash, and my Celesteela will actually eat this up quite a bit. What would actually come in here at this point? Rotom? Would you just send in the Rotom? Rotom. I don't know what moveset the Porygon is packing. I could go for a free Leech Seed though. Pretty much. I don't see it being an issue. I don't really think the electric terrain does a whole lot for me. I kind of threw Coco on the team. Like, for the longest time, when I was kind of mulling over this team, I really wanted a defogger. I still think I can fit one in. I just don't know which one I should pick. I don't necessarily just want to throw in a rapid spinner. I think the most common rapid spinner, if anything, would be an Excadrill, but I'm not necessarily planning on using that. But I also wanted to use a fire type because I wanted a better Rillaboom matchup, because that Pokemon is actually really ridiculous and it puts Tapu Bulu to shame. It's literally so much better. And I just wanted a better matchup, but then in my mind, I didn't want to deal with opposing Toxapex. I don't necessarily have a good way of dealing with Toxapex. Like, I could stall it out with like a Celesteela matchup, but it isn't 100% the best thing for me. I kind of want to see what this thing will actually do, so I'm actually just going to go for the Protect here. And I actually don't know what item this thing is running, I think. It's going to go for the Volt Switch, which is perfectly fine. I don't think he has leftovers. I don't know what Rotom Wash wants to do in this generation, is my issue, right? I know what a Rotom Heat wants to do. But when a Rotom Wash comes into this generation, especially if it was only made in this game without any outside sources from previous games, outside previous games had access to things like Defog. It had access to things like, what is that one move? Pain Split. But it doesn't necessarily have that in this generation if it's just created using Sword and Shield, right? It's just a weird scenario. So it could be like a Choice Specs. It could be something like that. I could go into Landorus. I guess I will just go right into Landorus. I would have just actually gone into Blissey because I'm eventually going to have to, because I don't know this thing's item yet. And if it happens to flip-flop into like a Hydro Pump or something, as he goes for the Wisp and he actually misses the Wisp, that's actually so unfortunate. And this is why it was so much better for me to go into Blissey, but for some reason I clicked the Landorus. Because no matter what, I was going to go into Landorus and then go into Blissey, but it literally made no sense to do that. But now that I know he can actually flip-flop between moves, it's actually pretty important that I do not use Landorus in that matchup whatsoever. It doesn't even matter for me to use Landorus in that matchup to begin with, because it absolutely makes no sense. The -1 attack does nothing. I'm not going to do enough damage to it to where it significantly matters, I think. That was a bad move. That was 100% a bad move, and I can't say it any other way. So I think Rotom here would just Volt Switch. I don't think Rotom would stay in by any means. And then at that point, I can see something like a Metagross even coming back in. I could see Tyranitar coming in, like something more physical, something more physical offensive, I guess. Because Blissey actually has really, really poor defense stats. And I actually invested maybe 4 EVs on this. I literally just maxed out the special defense, and I was just going to go into it. I don't think he should have withdrew there. I think he should have actually gone for the Volt Switch there just to get a little bit of damage at the very least. We're going to get the Thunder Wave off onto the Metagross, though, so that's going to be really nice. So that thing is really slow now. I want to so bad set up Stealth Rocks for the sheer amount of times I'm going to catch this guy switching. And now that I know that Rotom doesn't have leftovers, that thing is on a timer. Especially if I can get the Stealth Rocks up, that thing is 100% going to be on a timer, because I'm going to keep swapping that thing in and out, because it cannot do a single thing to Blissey. So anytime that thing wants to come in, yes, it had a clear body. I knew it. He actually gets paralyzed, which is pretty unfortunate. I think I could live any one hit, even if he hits me with something super effective. But I do want to set up the Stealth Rocks. And the next turn anyways, I could just easily go for an Earthquake. If he's going to hit me with something, he'll take the Rocky Helmet damage, but unfortunately he gets the double paralysis, which is very, very unfortunate. I can go for the Earthquake here. And I honestly would have just swapped at that point, to be honest. Third paralysis? Maybe? Nope, he goes for the Meteor Mash, which doesn't make much sense to me. It does quite a bit of damage because it is a Metagross. Metagross does have high attack, plus it'll get stabbed off of that. So, I don't know. I honestly don't know what his plays are. He's going to go for the Bullet Punch, which will deal a significant amount of damage. I have to clear my throat every 5 seconds because I'm not used to doing this. But this is really nice. We're in a really good position. I probably could have played that a little bit differently near the end, because he went out on his own terms. I took quite a bit of more damage than I ever really truly needed to. So Porygon 2 is here, and he's going to trace my Intimidate, and then cause me to go down 1. Again, this is not a matchup that I particularly wanted, and which I called that I didn't want from the very beginning, which is why I didn't lead off with the Landorus. And again, I could easily go right back into Blissey. I'd love to go into Urshifu and just close combat, because I don't think, I think Rotom would be his option there, but I don't think anything's faster than my Urshifu on his team. I'd actually have to look at his team, but I don't think anything's faster than it anymore. As he's actually just going to go directly for the Ice Beam. That's fine. And, yeah, so I don't even think the paralysis technically matters. If I have to just keep Thunder Waving stuff, I don't think it matters. Actually, he does have the Grimmsnarl, right? But I also have Celesteela, so he's not going to do anything. So I'm just going to go for the Thunder Wave here. As long as Blissey exists, Porygon 2 as well as Rotom literally get no play. Right, so, but the thing is with Porygon 2, at least it comes with potential recovery. So it's not as on of a strict of a timer as Rotom would be if he just kept coming in and out. Because Porygon 2 can actually just recover up HP, as where I don't know what that Rotom would actually do. So Tyranitar will come in here, set up Sand. Yep. The standard. So Sandstorm kicks up. I go for Thunder Wave. That's going to paralyze this thing. And we're pretty much in a very similar scenario as we were just in. I don't know what kind of Tyranitar this is, right? We've seen so many Tyranitar throughout many different Pokemon games. My most favorite is probably the Assault Vest variant, but is that this variant? I highly doubt it, to be completely honest with you. I could easily just go Urshifu. What do I take? I could also just go into Landorus, right? -1 him, take whatever hit, and I could probably just... Do I U-turn? Do I Earthquake? The battle was actually canceled, though, so that's that. Good game, Manny. But yeah, as long as Blissey kind of existed there, I don't think that there was ever going to be a way for 2 of his members to actually do anything. Losing Swampert that early was actually pretty big. I don't even know what kind of Swampert that was at the end of the day. I've only ever seen one set. I've seen different sets when it comes to VGC, and VGC kind of had more of a special attacking one as well. And that one came with Wide Guard and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, no, losing that early through Grass Knot was actually pretty huge. And this Coco itself was actually not the Coco I was actually planning to run. I actually have another Coco that utilized Light Clay and literally would just sit on screen. So it was pretty much kind of like a Regieleki, but in the form of a Tapu Koko. Unfortunately, fortunately for me, I ended up choosing the correct one. Unfortunately for him, he just wasn't prepared for it. So that was pretty cool. So I hope to be doing more videos, I guess. But this was cool. So I'll see you guys next time.